Hi guys, welcome back to Flip the Script with Vic. It's your host Victoria Nielsen. I am always so excited to be here with you guys, but I think today's conversation is going to be a real fire starter and one that is going to hopefully start a quiet revolution in the spiritual space. I have my friend Mariana Jimenez on with me today, and we met through Instagram because we were both sharing breath work and somatic work. And you've always been so really open and vulnerable in your spiritual journey and in your healing. And I love being able to cheer you on. And so I wanted us to be able to get to know one another better today, but also just to like chat about what's on our hearts. And now I'm trying to remember, were you in Lauren of Love's Wild Wealthy Feminine
I was
also?
gonna say,
Okay.
I
Lauren
think that
Love,
was like our
always
first
connecting
connection.
people.
Yes, super connector, and we love her for that. We do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh. But yes, tell us more about who you are, what you do, all the things.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. It is so nice to connect outside of the social media space. So my name is Mariana. I'm a somatic attachment coach for women, and I'm the founder of Commitment to Growth Somatic Coaching for Women. So for anybody who's never heard the term somatic attachment before, what I like to say is that I basically help women heal their deepest attachment trauma. And right now I'm actually working specifically with women with complex trauma. And even though I use the term complex trauma, I actually really dislike that term. I use it because it's like a buzzword and everybody kind of like understands, but a lot of people think that you need to have something significant happen to you to experience complex trauma, something like big and um that kind of like big T trauma
Exactly.
that's like
I call it big T. I'm like, it doesn't have to have a big T. Little T is
no.
trauma too.
Absolutely. Like there's so many influences in our lives from our upbringing to our race to our sexuality to our gender that all these things like come together to impact how we experience life, right? And attachment is a lot of people think like anxious, avoidant attachment in romantic relationships, right? And how our attachment to our partners is formed from our attachment to our caregivers. And that is very true. But when we're talking about attachment, we're talking about our entire experience of life, right? How we relate to the world, how we let ourselves connect to God, right? That's a conversation that I've been having a lot right now, like how trauma impacts how safe we feel to allow in a God or a source into
Yeah.
our
To that
experience, right?
surrender, that like higher power. Absolutely.
Exactly, exactly. So when I bridge that work with somatics or really talking about kind of releasing those wounds around feeling unsafe to connect, feeling unsafe to be vulnerable, feeling unsafe to be ourselves. And as we are forming a vehicle with another person, with our experience of the world, with ourselves, how are we allowing that vehicle to drop us into our bodies, right? Through witnessing ourselves in our triggers and our wounding and everything. So it's beautiful work. I really think that it's important right now in a world where we are so disconnected from ourselves because we just have so much access to distraction all the time. We're being pushed to hustle all the time. And
It's like, don't listen to your body that's breaking down before you and giving you all the signals. Like, ignore them, ignore them.
it, or until you hit a breaking point,
Mhm.
right? And I also I don't think we give enough credit to the importance of relationships in that. Like I think we're entering a time and place where everything is so calculated, right? Like women are looking for a very specific set of traits in men, in a partner, in the idea of a life partner, right? But
Everything's an
when we
algorithm, it almost feels like.
everything is an
Like now that
algorithm.
you say that, I'm like, you know what? We have been taught to cultivate life that way, to be like, this is the
Mhm.
set of things I'm looking for. This is the criteria. And then you're constantly
Exactly.
giving that feedback to your body. But is it a healthy feedback loop? I don't know.
Is it a healthy feedback loop? Are you opening yourself up to experiences outside of what you think you need to be seen and loved? And those things are very important, but also like, how are you allowing yourself to see what that person is bringing out in you to like show you other things about yourself, you know? So I could go on and on, but I
I
love
love
this
it though
work. I'm
because
so passionate about it.
people need it too, and I feel like I was trained years ago in inner voice facilitation, and it's similar in the
Mm,
sense that you connect to somatic energies within the body, and I guide clients to where they feel heaviness, right, and have them
mm-hmm,
name it and say what shape is it, and then we try and give it a number, and they breathe through it, and people are amazed because this energy doesn't come back, and people always want to know where it came from. Yes, maybe it came from a little T trauma in this lifetime. Maybe it's actually energy you've carried from like previous lifetimes
mm-hmm,
that your body is not ready to release. I would
mm-hmm,
love when you work with your clients and, you're working through this. It sounds like, are there some common attachments that you see a lot of the times that like people may not realize are affecting their overall well-being and health that they
mm-hmm,
can look for that might not be a, I don't know, a common sign, for example, that like something's
mm-hmm.
going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I love that question. I think so. I work exclusively with women, and
Same. Sorry, ladies, we need more of us uplifting each other. Nothing against you, men. I love the ladies in that regard.
I love the ladies. I think like we're entering a time where I don't know, I know you're very involved in astrology, and I learned recently through a healer that I went to see that we just shifted out of a cycle of masculine energy and now we're shifting into a time of like an 8-year cycle of feminine energy. So a lot of women are rising right now. A lot of women are realizing that they have a lot of mother line wounds to heal. So it's never been a better time to enter the space as a female coach, in my opinion. Um, but I would say like some of the most common attachments that I see are not necessarily intrapersonal, like a woman into like a specific type of person. It's more our attachment to identities that we put on ourselves.
Yes. Ooh.
So yes,
It's
yes,
always us. It is
it's
always
always
us, you guys.
us.
Like I
Yeah.
have been shown this over and over by the universe, especially this last year. I'm always reminded of that quote, wherever you go, there you are. And it's
Mm,
like you have to deal with your own shit, no matter what it
true.
is, like you're going to have to deal with it. But those layers of perception, right? Those stories that you have told yourself so many times, they've
Yeah.
become your gospel, they become truth, but are they
Mm,
actually? I always give the example of like not liking the color pink. Like, do you really not like the
yeah.
color pink? Or did your mom just say that so much that it became a story that you told? And that's like a really simple example, right? But think of how many decisions, interactions,
Mm-hmm.
again, stories that you tell over and over again, or you do this behavior in a pattern in a way
Mm-hmm.
that like it's on such autopilot that you don't even
Yeah,
notice it. And
exactly.
is it still
Yeah.
serving you? Probably not. That mask that
Mm,
you had to wear in seventh grade to survive the girls that were bullying you is no longer helping you as like a 35-year-old woman. You know what I mean? Like,
no, no, exactly. And I think like we don't give enough credit to, yes, like how important those identities were to protect us at one point, but also how we think that that is truly who we are, right? So I I did a video recently. I have like two examples of this. I did a video recently where I was like, you're not afraid of being too much. You're actually afraid of who you become the day you stop telling yourself that you are too much,
full
right?
body
Oh.
chill. No, but seriously, like, because if you took up that space, like, I actually
Yeah.
realized this recently that I had
Mhm.
a story that something bad would happen if I took up that space.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, where did that come
Absolutely.
from? Where did that
Yeah.
come from?
Yeah. But we become attached to that, right? Like we think that not being too much is what dictates our enoughness. Not being too much is what creates a predictable life experience that we can tell ourselves like, oh, this person won't leave me. Oh, I won't be rejected if I act like this, right? But as someone who has spent most of my life telling myself that story, recently I life has been opening up for me in some pretty miraculous ways. It's been very, very cool. Like very much the old new replacing the old and like actively watching it in real time, but also feeling that stretch
That
to
edge.
that edge of like, okay, all this stuff is trying to come in, and you can either sabotage out of it and say, I don't deserve this, like I can't accept this, or you can like, hold your basket out and let life drop in those eggs, right? Whatever you want to call them. And I speaking of like being witnessed by the people around you, I came home after like a conference that I was invited to recently, and like on the drive to the conference, I'm on the phone with my partner, like bawling my eyes out, right? I'm like, I don't know, like what I did to be invited here. Like, who am I to be in this room
Oh.
full of women? Like, and he's like, this stuff doesn't fall out of the sky. Like, it feels like you're being stretched right now, and that's super uncomfortable, but that doesn't mean that you're in the wrong place and all these things. And I get home and we're sitting down, like debriefing about the night and just like how I'm feeling. And I'm feeling super angry. I'm just like, I don't know who, like, why do they want to be friends with me? Like, why do they think that I'm capable of doing this? And like, eventually my partner just kind of looked at me and was like, do you think that it's not about them, but what is being projected back at you about what you think about yourself? And I was just kind of like,
Well, shit.
I was like, no, that's so true, right? Like, I don't want to believe that I'm someone that people are gonna admire and respect and like give room to speak to, right? But it's because like I'm so attached to being the one who plays small, the kind girl that like gives everybody else room, But both of us can exist. Like, I can be the person that passes the mic around, but I can also be the person that like takes her spot on that stage and speaks and all these things, right? So it's not that you're like like shedding skin and you're never seeing that skin again, right? It's just you're integrating versions of you into your current experience because
Exactly.
we
That
are
is what
multifaceted.
embodiment is, you know? It's such a
Yes.
buzzword these days,
Yes.
but it's the
Mhm.
missing link, or at least I feel like it is for a lot of people that need to integrate. There's so many of us that are on that healing hamster wheel, right? And then you don't take time to integrate and actually embody those lessons and see how they
Mhm.
feel in your body and in your everyday life because you're going to have to move through that discomfort. It's going to come up.
It's
And,
true.
this work is not about never being uncomfortable. Like, that's not realistic. And also, like,
Mhm.
this is life. But
Yeah.
it's about how you handle that discomfort. And I love that you have such a supportive partner that can mirror that truth back to you that, hey, this is bringing something up in you. And I think all good relationships, whether it's, platonic or romantic, do that for you. And I think I'm in an era of my life where if it's not lifting me up like that, right, I'm not for it. And I think
Mhm.
there's so many of us women that are waking up in our spirituality and in our power, but also I think in this essence of, all right, if you're not going to play by these new rules of lifting me up, then like goodbye. Like I don't
Mhm.
need you anymore. And so I feel like there's a lot of beauty in what I'm seeing in like online spirituality in the feminine space. There's definitely a lot of cheerleading in a big way that I think is needed. But
Mhm.
you and I were talking before we started filming. There's also a lot of like red flags in this is
Oh my gosh.
spiritual, like
Mhm.
divine feminine space. And I think they're important to talk about because not that
Mhm.
people are getting conned, but kind of like I really
Mhm.
think there's a lot of tropes out there that are just like being yeah, like fed into the masses that aren't really what being an
Mhm.
embodied spiritual feminine woman is.
Oh, 100%. Is there one that comes to mind for you right away?
I feel like the that feminine means that you're like goop. Meaning that like you're so in flow, you're so feminine, like you never
Yeah.
have to do anything for your business. You
Mhm.
never have to do anything. Like the birds just
Mhm.
come and do it for you. Like no, being in your feminine actually
Yeah.
means that you let the masculine hold you. That you have a masculine structure in your
Mhm.
business. So yes, you can be soft, but soft doesn't mean goop. Soft means
Yes. Yeah.
held, and I
Absolutely.
think people highlight that like I don't know, a feminine business is flowy and intuitive, and it is, but it
Mhm.
can be flowy and intuitive because you have set up the masculine boundaries and structure to
Yeah.
hold that energy.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and I also think that, again, like relating it back to attachment, there are so many things that get challenged in our belief system when any woman starts to do that work around her feminine energy, right? So I know for me, when I first started, like, it was around September of last year that I really started digging into what are these energies and stuff, because I I think there's a lot of stigma around like gendering these energies and um feeling like if you're a woman you always have to be in your feminine, because if you're in your masculine it's like a threat to like your gender expression in some way or something. And actually, the truest expression of the feminine is not softness, it's sovereignty. And a lot of people
Ooh,
don't
we
know
say that
that.
again. Say that again louder for the people in the back.
The true expression of feminine energy is not softness, it is sovereignty.
Yes.
And I think why I make that very important distinction is because I don't know that enough people realize that a lot of the dialogue around like the feminine energy being like soft and flowy and very princess treatment is still a lot of the patriarchy, like the
Yes.
undertones of that, right? It's like
Yes.
portraying women as like weak and useless and maybe that's a little harsh, but I also think that women put that onto themselves and they're like, well, I'm just supposed to be goop and I'm just supposed to flow and I'm not supposed to work. And like that is also you giving your power away,
Hmm.
you know, to the system that tells you that only if you flow like this, that is where you'll thrive the best. And that is where you serve the best, right? But we don't talk enough about how the world and the systems in this world are so afraid of feminine power,
Yes.
right? Like the
So
Salem witch
afraid.
trials, all of the women that were burned for being midwives, witches, intuitive healers before, this time, because there was a fear about the power in those women. And I do believe that a lot of that narrative that I see, especially like in very capitalistic, like divine feminine conversations, right? Like, um, the divine feminine that is very much like, oh, he buys me first class tickets and like
Yeah. Like
he
and
serves me
again, I mean,
wine every
nothing wrong
night.
with that, but that is not
No,
like true, like enlightened femininity,
no, it's
Like
not. It's
it's
not.
it's not. And same with the coaches that like, yes, I think tout your sales numbers, toot your own horn, girl, like that's great. But there's so much misinformation of like, are you actually posting like your revenue? Are you actually posting like how much you've made? Or is that how much you're spending on other things and really you've only made like $10 in your business this month? Like I think there's a
Yeah.
lot of that distortion as well, right? And we look to those masculine metrics like amount of money in the bank account, like amount of followers and things like that to say
Yeah.
that someone is successful. But I think this new wave of us are rewriting that success in our bodies and in the way that we
Oh
feel
my
in our businesses. And I think, it's interesting because I've started posting on LinkedIn recently, which is kind of
same.
weird,
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I hear
to be
you.
like, girl, I'm gonna go follow your post now. But I feel like there's a change happening there where like the corporate world is more open, I would say, to this or realizing that this unseen realm and the energetic realm is affecting things, is affecting people. You know,
Absolutely.
what do
Mhm.
you see, as we are wrapping up 2025 and like going into 2026? I still think community is going to be key next year and like really, really big. And more people are going to want to keep getting together in person and like
Mhm.
wanting to do in-person events. From your community, what are you seeing as some of, I don't know, are there any like themes or things that are bubbling up that you think into 2026 people are going to be thinking about or working
Mhm.
towards maybe?
Yeah. I think we definitely can't have this conversation without talking about AI.
Yes. Oh my God. Fair,
I
fair.
think I learned recently I was taking a like a 3-day intensive with this gentleman named Dan Harrison. He's like a coach for coaches basically. And he was saying that we are living in a truth recession. And
Mm.
what that means is like, and I'm sure you've experienced this, and I'm sure the people listening will relate. Like, there are videos now that you see on social media, and you're like, I don't know if this is AI generated or if this is true, right?
Exactly.
And
And there's nobody really checking that truth. I went to journalism school, so I think it's so crazy this
oh
idea
wow,
like we used
yeah,
to actually have to fact check things and now like there nothing is
you
fact
have
checked.
no
It's
idea.
just on the internet.
Exactly, you have no idea, right? And I think that for people like ourselves who are leading a brand that is an extension of us and therefore is a it's a diary in some ways about who we are and what we're doing and what we're achieving and how our change we're turning that process into something for the women that we serve. People are really opening their eyes and ears to, are you being honest? Like a lot of BS checking, right? What is your energy like in this video that you're posting, the story that you're telling, right? I think that people aren't so keen now to hand their money out to just anybody, because the other thing that I've noticed in the coaching industry, and this is like a really hot take of mine recently,
Yes.
is that I it's interesting that, and by the way, I'm totally guilty of this, so I'm not going to pretend that I haven't learned this from my own self observation. But, for those of us who are curing or helping people heal scarcity mindsets, we're also the very people feeding it when we make posts like, it's actually not normal that you have anxiety.
Yes.
If you're not in the energy of abundance all the time, it's probably because you're sick or something.
There's
That's
something wrong with
totally
you. Yeah, something's happening.
exactly.
It's
And
true. I mean,
so,
that the preying on that fear, like
yeah,
it's gotten worse, I think, in the coaching
it
space,
has gotten
honestly,
worse.
because
Yeah.
everyone has an ailment, has something that they want to fix or has a solution. And yes, you probably do have a solution for a lot of people, but I think this new way of leadership, you were kind of talking about the shift in the masculine and feminine astrology. So
Mm-hmm.
like the Piscean way of leadership before was very, I am the guru and you follow
Mm-hmm.
me. And this Aquarian age is more, we all rise together. Like, I don't know everything. I know a piece, you know a piece, we all know a piece together. And so I feel like that is where things are heading, right? Slowly, but
Yeah.
that as those old systems start to crumble, like we're gonna start seeing some of this like
Yeah.
ugly side of stuff. And I do think AI is gonna make it a little bit worse, if it
I
hasn't
do too.
already, because how
Mm-hmm.
many of us, I mean, again, guilty of it too. Like I use AI to edit like my copy and things like that. But at what point are
Mm-hmm.
we going to get to where like everyone is writing the exact same sentence structure with the same M dashes, with the same, we're going to get rid of our creativity. We're going to get rid of our unique essence and frequency that is attracting the abundance and is attracting the people in the
Mm-hmm.
first place,
Yeah. 100%.
because that's
So,
that's really what the in my opinion, if you're doing it well, that's how you're attracting people, not because you're scaring them with your marketing tactics saying that this is why they
no,
have to come see you.
no, it's true. Like, I know that for me has created the biggest shift in my business. And that, like, if we really want to talk about the feminine energy being like that attracting energy, that is what has created the most ripples in my business. So I recently, like, I've been taking to TikTok a lot more in terms of like video posting, because I guess the algorithm on there is just better.
It's
I don't
also
know.
like it feeds my like Gemini rising a little bit, so I kind of love making dumb videos. I haven't figured out yet though, like I guess you just have to get more followers and that's how you monetize things, because I'm like
Yeah.
I don't really see how this is. It seems like a time suck but really fun at the same time.
No, oh my gosh. I I think it's just like one of those other tools that we kind of get to leverage, right? But no, Instagram has just been ticking me off with like the algorithm and everything.
Same.
But I had two two women reach out to coach with me from there recently, and I really attribute that to the fact that, like, speaking of kind of releasing that attachment to that I don't want to be too much identity, right? Like, I've just started picking up my phone and recording something and posting it, like,
Yes.
not
I
doing it
was
a
doing
second
that on
time.
TikTok too. It was great. Don't analyze it.
No,
Don't anything. You just post it.
no, no. And to me, that is like the essence of true feminine energy, right? Is like, it doesn't have to be perfect. You are enough in how you, of course, there's always room to like improve how you convey and how you, I move my hands a lot when I talk, right? So like maybe some people are like, stop, girl, but it's more about like, how much do you believe in what you are transmitting,
Mm-hmm.
right? And how are you giving yourself that space to transmit that freely and convey that in the way that feels like honest and intuitive to you, right? Versus like, oh my gosh, the hook has to be 3 seconds here and the
Yeah, and I have to
caption
be
has to be
selling something and I have to have this CTA. Like, I don't ever, please stop telling
no,
me how many steps there are to do things or like how to do it a certain way. Like,
no.
this was
Mhm.
where I was trying to go with the age of Aquarius, was that we need everyone's unique perspective. Like we need
Yeah.
everyone doing things differently. And I love that you're sharing this because this is how you get rid of some of that perfectionist tendency is just by doing it
Mhm.
and just by moving through the fear and just by posting it and by letting it be messy and by letting it
Yeah.
be uncomplicated. I think that's why I've moved really far really fast in my business is because of that. Like
Mm.
I'm always learning as I'm going. And,
Mhm.
even with this podcast, like the videos are not the quality that I would like on YouTube or even on Instagram for that matter. But I'm like, you know
Mhm.
what? I'm starting somewhere. We're starting somewhere. And
Exactly.
that,
Exactly.
as long as we're expressing ourselves, that to me is like the epitome of what we're here for, right? Is to just
Mhm.
continue to fine tune our instrument, our bodies, our voices as a full expression of ourselves. So I
Mhm.
love that that's where that is an outlet for you on TikTok. And I think we should be thinking of these social platforms in that way more of like, how can I be in my joy and in my fun and in my maiden energy? And actually, that's what's going to attract people, not because I'm giving
Mhm.
them 5 steps for why my product is the best, like
Yeah,
it's
of
no.
course. Of course, there's a time and a place for that, right? But also like when you become so strategic, there is no room for that authentic expression to come out, right? Like everything is calculated. And then at that point you're filtering out people through how you think you need to be perceived to be appreciated and respected as a leader versus like who you actually are, and that on its own blocks the frequency that you want to emit to attract those people, right? So just do the damn thing. Stop thinking about it.
Right, just post it. Like you've thought about it way more than anyone else has. I promise you. Like it
Exactly.
truly. I have loved this conversation today. Is there anything else like on your heart, on your mind that you just feel really called to share? I feel like you have a powerful message for the listeners today.
Thank you. Something on my heart that I feel called to share right now. Um, I think we're recording this in November, and I know for me, like I was born in Mexico. That's where half my family is from. So we just got out of celebrating the Day of the Dead. So to those who celebrate or who celebrated, belated congratulations, and I hope it was a beautiful time for you. But that also means that we're entering a time of the year where, as you might know, like the veil is very thin between this world and the next. And I know like something I've been thinking a lot about right now is just like how to honor that, but also like really noticing those kind of, I don't know if like signs and symptoms is
Hmm.
the
Yeah,
word I'm,
no, truly.
but like I know for myself and for some people in my life, we've been noticing a lot of like stuff from the past is coming up right now, like stuff that you didn't think you remembered, or like stuff that you thought you'd processed is like now creeping in again and stuff. And I guess I don't really know. I was just trying to share from my heart there,
I
but I
love that.
guess
I
like
think it's
we're
maybe just ask the ancestors to help you with that, right? With the things that
yeah, yeah,
that you're carrying and moving through. And yeah,
yeah.
they're always with you. We had a big falcon show up in the yard and I knew it was my papa. His birthday.
Oh,
Oh, his birthday was today. He'd be 88 today. I
oh,
love you, papa. But yeah, he
happy
came to see
birthday.
the boys on November 1st. And so
Oh,
I was like,
wow.
yep, okay, thanks. So that's
Oh,
always
that's
my signs are always
beautiful.
animals.
Oh, that's beautiful. I don't know what I feel like mine are like I know I channel a lot through writing. Like it's why I write a lot of poetry in my free time, and that's how I feel. It was funny. I like I was at a party recently and there was a woman there who's a medium, right? And like we'd never had an in-depth conversation. Like we're just building a relationship and we're chatting and I'm like asking her about how she channels and stuff. And again, like keep in mind this woman has no context about me. And she's just like, well, when you write, you also channel. And I was like, how did you know that I write?
No, but for real, like that's how I first started.
Yeah.
Was in that way, and then honestly, you probably already like connected the Akashic records and stuff, and don't even realize it, and you channel that way too.
That's
Yeah.
very cool. I haven't dipped my feet in there yet, but I it's on my list of things to explore.
Oh my
So
God, I love it. Yeah, you're still, oh, you have so much to unfold in this journey, and it makes me really excited.
thank you. I do. We're just getting started. We
I
are.
know. Out peeling back all
Yeah.
the layers and the magic, but you are such a bright light, and the
Thank
world
you.
is so lucky to have you shining and sharing and being so authentic in your expression and who you are. Please let the listeners know how they can find you, how they can work with you, what you have going on in your world.
Absolutely. So, I'm most of the time I'm on Instagram at Commitment to Growth. You can find at Commitment to Growth on TikTok as well. As we said, I'm on LinkedIn now. You just gotta search up Mariana Jimenez, Somatic Attachment Coach, and I'm on there. And right now, my roster is open for one-on-one coaching for any woman who is healing from complex trauma and noticing that come up in their relationships and their everyday lives around just feeling safe to trust and feel safe in their bodies and develop that healthy connection to themselves and to the world. So if that is something that you're curious about exploring, please hit up my DMs and we can have that conversation. But otherwise, that's me. And I have loved this conversation as well. So thank you for the space and the time. I think this is how we truly create those ripples in our society. So, mhm,
Absolutely. And our networks, ladies, like think, I don't know why this message is coming in, but like our expand your network, think beyond what you would normally look for, right? In perhaps
mhm,
your clients or business associates or things like that. Make these connections on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on
mhm.
random places with other women. You never know where it's going to take you, where that woman may know someone that knows someone that knows someone that gets you that next thing.
Yeah.
Let us help each other out. Let us support one another. So give Mariana a follow on all the
Thank
platforms.
you.
Thank you so much for being here. We have new episodes of Flip the Script with Vic every single Tuesday. I just love it. These are like my favorite thing to do. So thank
Heck
you guys
yeah.
so much for listening and be good to one another.
Thank you.